Robots on the job and computers learning on the fly. That could soon become your reality depending on where you work. Tonight, we begin with the first part in a special series on the evolution of work. CTV's Max Wark is looking into the changes for us, starting with more blue-collar jobs, Max.
Nancy, a lot of people will see this series as robots taking our jobs, and that is part of it. But this technological shift will also create new jobs. In this automation conversation, we're starting small and going big as we ask the question, who's winning in the battle of man versus machine? From sweeping the floors to becoming the man behind the machine.
It does exactly what you tell it to, and that's it.
Cody Hanley has worked his way up and now controls the Mazak.
I program it and I schedule it so the machine just knows.
Knowing where things were headed is why the head of Shimco bought the system a few years ago.
I knew that moving this facility, we'd have to be more automated.
Wanting to grow the business, Peter Voss needed to pump up productivity.
That now allows us to have one operator run 32 jobs simultaneously.
He spent $1.6 million US to avoid hiring 32 Cody Hanleys at a potential cost of about $1 million a year.
The payback was about 18, 20 months, and now it's actually generating significant savings for us.
This machine isn't the first piece of automation at Shimco. When Voss bought the company 7 years ago, he says there was an employee handling all of the orders by hand and by paper.
We actually had one person full-time just running around finding that bin with that material, take out that paper package, put it in the new paper package.
Now he uses the web for orders with real-time analytics.
For us to be able to grow and grow efficiently and effectively, we had to automate. There's just no choice.
Not a new concept. In 1931, 3.2 million people lived and worked on the farm. That's more than 30% of Canadians working the land. Now there are fewer than 300,000 farmers, 2.2% of people. The use of tractors has increased output per worker exponentially. And think about a job once synonymous with advancement, the elevator operator, manually moving the elevator up and down, replaced by a button.
Over the next 10 to 20 years, we predict 42% of all current jobs are at a high risk of either being replaced or significantly disrupted.
Sean Mullen is with the Brookfield Institute. The think tank produced a report diagnosing automation by industry. The prognosis? A lot of jobs will change or be gone in our lifetime.
They tend to be jobs that are routine-oriented, that have repetitive tasks.
Here are the jobs that could be killed by automation. Retail workers are 92% likely of being replaced. Administrative assistants are 96% likely to be gone. Food service workers, aka fast food employees, 91%. Cashiers, 97%. And truck drivers, 79%.
These are jobs that employ a lot of people today, and where we think there is a very high risk of these jobs being replaced.
That's 1.89 million people replaced by robots. But Mullen says new jobs will sprout from the old ones.
They'll have new demands. They'll almost certainly have higher level of skill requirements.
A perfect example, planes.
100 years ago, it would have been almost impossible to envision the airline industry,
of which Shimco is a part. One of only 12 companies in the world making aerospace shims.
It's a little cliche, I know, but I really do. I keep learning every day I come in.
He learns every day, but so can his machine. Now, in case you're wondering, a machinist has a 65% chance of being automated in the next couple of decades. In part two, we look at the impact on Waterloo Region specifically and why it isn't just blue-collar work at risk of automation. Nancy.
Max Wark in the newsroom.
From the assembly line to the corner office, automation is now small, smart, and portable. In part one of our series on the evolution of work, we looked at the blue-collar jobs at risk of being replaced by robots. CTV's Max Wark joins us now with part two. Max, you're looking at local firms using technology and how it could ripple from sector to sector.
Alex, it's not just factories utilizing automation, although that is where we'll start. White-collar jobs are also ripe for automation, especially when the task is repetitive and software is able to learn on the job in the battle of man versus machine. Putting ink to paper sounds like you might expect. But there's a beat creeping into the whirling world of printing.
We do a lot of other things, but we do put ink on paper, and man, there's a lot of technology involved in doing that.
And auto is Kober's latest piece of tech. It's been a slow process bringing the Auto 1500 up to speed.
This, to me, is just, we've got to get our feet wet.
Auto is here to help move stuff.
We do a very good job of producing a mass amount of micro orders, and every one of those from one workstation to another needs to be moved.
But ask Vice President Todd Kober about Auto, and he'll point out it's not a robot.
Guys, it's just a cart. It's just a cart with a little bit of intelligence.
A little bit of intelligence might be an understatement when Auto is paired with a machine.
When it finishes the task, sometimes it'll just call Auto on its own, and Auto will come over and pick up a part and deliver a new part and go on its way.
Auto knows where it's going. It learns the factory floor. It's an autonomous vehicle the company says is 100% safe.
The technology underlying Auto motors and the Auto vehicles did not exist 3 years ago.
Yes, sensor technology is better equipped to handle Auto's smooth moves, but software has also come a long way in a short period of time.
Is the world as a whole prepared for what is possible?
What's possible is software that thinks critically.
That's very much what some of these jobs do in the white collar space.
Limited to manual labor no more. Sean Mullen with the Brookings Institute says automation can creep into the offices of doctors, lawyers, and accountants.
The demand for them may go down, and what they'll end up doing is more of the judgment side.
Need an example? How many of you still see a teller at a bank? And it isn't just bankers.
Get insured online in 5 minutes.
Waterloo-based Economical Insurance introduced online-based Sonnet 2 years ago, thanks to automated underwriting software.
We're using some of the most advanced analytics and third-party data.
From banking to insurance, it's a numbers game when it comes to automating the financial sector. A banker is 98% likely to be automated out of a job in the next 20 years. Insurance adjusters and claim examiners face the same fate. Insurance agents and brokers have a 92% chance of automation. And automating underwriters is almost an eventuality at 99%. That's more than 17,000 people locally, the bulk of them working in Waterloo, at risk of losing their jobs. Both the banks and insurance companies say automation is more about meeting customer needs than replacing today's workforce.
I don't think we're going to have a situation where technology eliminates and creates widespread unemployment.
After all, someone wrote the Sonnet software and typed Auto's code.
Auto Motors is 100% on the side of making human jobs better.
Todd Kober thinks the same.
When you look around, there's a dozen people at any given time moving things. And is that the most efficient use of their time? Probably not.
The toughest part? Convincing employees they won't be replaced by Auto. And Kober says his company has gone through automation over the last decade, and the workforce has actually grown by 150%. Now, in part 3, we're going to look at the future, go way into the future, at artificial intelligence and its impact on the workforce. Alex.
All right, Max Wark reporting tonight. Thanks, Max.
Right now, a robot is doing something a human can do, but learning how to do it faster and better than you. That has some of the biggest minds on the planet pondering the future of human work as artificial intelligence evolves. CTV's Max Wark has been looking into the evolution of work this week in a special series. And Max, tonight we step into the future.
Nancy, depending on who you ask, the future is already here. Picture a world where machines are constantly learning new things on their own, growing their skills, and possibly making human work obsolete in the battle of man versus machine.
canvas machine.
Much smarter than the smartest human on earth.
My name is Pepper. The development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
Machines, not only doing our work, but learning.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better.
The prognosis from the man who builds cars already equipped with autopilot. Big minds talking about general artificial intelligence. According to a local researcher, we're not there yet.
Nowhere close to the whole automated cyborg level.
Alexander Wong is an expert in operational AI, teaching computers to learn and specifically see.
It's like teaching a child. You'll show a child like, this is a banana, and if the child says it's not a banana, then well, you say, well, you're wrong, this is a banana.
Wong says general AI still generations away, but narrow AI, computers learning specific tasks, well, that's different. Take a look at the computers recognizing Tom Cruise's eyes in the movie Minority Report, knowing how far away he is to target their message. That's what Avery Ma taught his machine to do in 4 months.
It's really tied up to the current trend and it gets me excited.
His entire system, made from cameras, Lego, and tape, only cost him $70.
You don't want your project to be forever in lab book or just in the thesis, right?
And this may look like fancy graphics, but this computer knows where you're going.
As you can see, we can run it on the real time on the small embedded devices to predict their action when they are moving.
Recognizing your face and predicting where you're going.
It also helps people do things that would otherwise be, I would consider, a waste of their time.
2 tasks that could replace security guards, exemplified by Minority Report. But Wong says he doesn't envision a day where a machine guards a building able to spot the criminal.
There's a lot of talk on general artificial intelligence, but I would say it's really pretty much at its infancy.
So when will it grow up? Minority Report is set in the year 2054. Wong says even that's probably ambitious. Now, there's little doubt there's going to be more automation and artificial intelligence in the workforce. What we didn't touch on in this series is the growing debate around a guaranteed universal income, essentially paying people just for living. Some say it will be a necessity in the future. Others say new industries will evolve from technological advances. So we'll just have to wait and see. Nancy.
All right. Thanks, Max.